Welcome to a very special edition of Mark Out of 10, the wrestling podcast where we usually rate the highs and lows of the squared circle, but today we're doing something different. Today we pause, we reflect, and we pay tribute to a man who wasn't just a wrestler, he was a phenomenon. This is our top 10 Hulk Hogan moments in wrestling tribute episode. Whether you knew him as the red and yellow superhero of the 80s, the rebellious leader of the NWO, or simply as the guy who made you believe in larger-than-life storytelling, Hulk Hogan was the cornerstone of generations of wrestling fans. His leg drop shook arenas, his charisma shook pop culture, and his presence, unforgettable. So today we say goodbye to the immortal Hulk Hogan. We revisit the moments that defined a legacy, and we Hulk up, one last time, for the man who told us to say our prayers, eat our vitamins, and believe in ourselves. This one's for you, brother. But first, I am the Mark Shields, and my co-host, the man who's been banned from 3 gyms for dramatically ripping off his tank tops during warm-ups. It's the mega power himself, the housewife's favourite heel, Hoxie. Feels fantastic this week, Hoxie, but how you doing?
It's been a bit of a week, hasn't it? It's been a bit of a week. I'm loving the boa, mate. I'm loving the red and yellow.
That's got to be done.
Loving the red and yellow.
But it comes crashing down, Hoxie, you know.
And it hurts inside.
Indeed.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this show. We're going to celebrate Hulk Hogan. That's what we're going to do. Strip away all the shit, right? We're just going to focus on that.
100%. This is about Hulk Hogan, the character. This isn't about Terry Bollea. There's been stuff that's happened in the most recent past that we are not even going to touch on. This is about the career of the immortal Hulk Hogan, and I think that's really, really important. And it's a very stripped back episode we're going to do here. We're just going to get straight into the list. We might have little anecdotes and stuff in terms of what we remember, but I think before we get into this particular list, I've messaged you a few times talking about how this was a really, really weird one because you didn't know how you were going to react until something like this happened, and I was quite surprised at how upset I was at it.
Yeah.
You know, it was a really weird one for me. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, it's we've spoke about it loads on this podcast before, and a lot of the amazing moments that we've talked about, or we do talk about, on lots of lists are about Hulk. And it's like, we've had a joke about it. I mean, we've had a bit of a joke at Hogan's sort of expense of some of the stuff that he's been doing lately, blah, 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 blah. But you cannot deny that probably there's a good argument to be made that neither of us would be sat here right now doing a podcast about wrestling if it wasn't for him.
No,
and people say, "Oh, it's a generational thing." No, it's not. Hogan became that forever, basically. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we go through the list, but I'm excited to do this list, really excited. I was still reading from fucking Aussie. I was upset still from that, and then I get that message. I was like, "Oh my god!" And like you say, you don't think about it, but I was watching a few clips sort of yesterday and a little bit earlier, sort of refreshing a bit of memory about some of the stuff that's going to be on the list and stuff. And I was getting upset watching it. I was like, this is weird. It's really odd. But mate, I think any wrestling fan of probably the last 50 years or whatever, if you've been a wrestling fan for that long, Hogan is going to have an impact on you, for better or for worse. But he's one of the biggest things ever. And like I said, I will die on that hill. We've said before about sliding doors moments and stuff with all this. I'm telling you now, we wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for Hulk. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. Very simple.
I mean, obviously the last week's been the Twitter's been going crazy, right? And I think you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, he saved the business," and then I think it was Meltzer says he didn't save the business. He did this, he did that. But I think you think of 2 massive boom periods in wrestling. You're talking the Golden Era, and you talk about the Attitude Era. He was involved in both of them. You know, and there's no one else that can say that. You know, no one else that we talk about that lightning in the bottle type moment, and he did it twice. You know,
Yep.
And I'm sure there'll be moments that we'll both have on the list. I'm sure, to be honest, I think probably most of our list is going to be quite similar. I think there'll be one or two maybe differences, but I think there'll be certain key moments that will be on both of our lists because they're so significant to the industry that we both love. And I think, I think it's really, really important that we take a moment out just to like sort of acknowledge how great he was in terms of what he did for the business.
We got to celebrate it, right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we're doing. And like I said, leave all the preconception stuff at the door. Leave all that stuff, and just let's focus on the red and yellow or the black and white. And let's just, for the next however long this is going to take to talk about, let's just enjoy it and celebrate it and remember some really, really good shit, because that's what it's going to be.
Absolutely. We're not justifying anything that happened, right? I think that's really important to say. We're not justifying anything, but what I will say is, if you put anyone under the microscope, not one of us will be squeaky clean. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really important. So sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I was just about to say, like, obviously, as you can see, my quality is just a little bit lower, and there's some beautiful artwork in the background, which isn't normally in my setup. But I'm recording this from my overnight at work down in Salisbury. And Salisbury's very, very nice, very, very nice place. Yeah, a couple of little rivers running through the city centre and stuff, or town centre, or whatever it is. But it's very nice. But yeah, hopefully I'm coming through okay. Hopefully the levels are all right. We're happy, but we wanted to get this in the bag, get it recorded, so we're getting involved. We're muddling through guerrilla podcasting, mate.
Guerrilla podcasting, indeed. We have had a few voicemails through in the website, which is amazing. So thank you very much for that. But we don't think it's prudent we don't think it's appropriate that we do them because some of the messages are a bit risque, shall we say? So we're not going to do it in this episode. We'll do that from next week. We are obviously moving what we said at the end of the last podcast. Underrated stars will be next week's podcast. But this was just really important to put this in here. So everything's being shifted by a week. So our guest will be moved by a week as well. We probably need to have a discussion with him as well, just to make sure, just to keep our schedule in check. What we'd also like to do is continue to write into us, wrestlemark10@gmail.com, go to moo10.com, leave us voicemails, leave us comments, etc. We want to know your top 5 Hulk Hogan moments as well. Do you agree with the list that's coming up? Don't you? Get in contact with us. We want to hear everything you want that's related to Hulk Hogan, and then we'll talk about it next week as well. Okay, Hawk, so let's just fire straight into it then, okay? Top 10 Hulk Hogan moments in wrestling. Would you like to go first?
You can go first, mate. You can go first.
Okay, my number 10 is it's going back to where it all began in terms of Hulkamania running wild, and that was 1984 Madison Square Garden, winning the WWF Championship for the first time from the Iron Sheik. I think this, as I say, it started WrestleMania and it just changed wrestling forever. And I'm going to assume from that smile, that's probably your number 10 as well.
You're 100% right. That's weird. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. January 23rd, 1984, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, but let's just both talk about it. I mean, originally it wasn't even supposed to be him that was in the match. It was supposed to be Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund, yeah.
Yeah, trying to get his rematch. But,
yes.
It's... This, I think it was a necessary one. He was the sort of the golden hero, right, that America needed at that time. The Sheik was... Obviously, the Iron Sheik was a great fucking heel. He was a phenomenal heel for that particular time. And it was just right, the fact that Hogan ended it, right?
But they needed to get the belt off Backlund so Hogan could win it, basically, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah. Like, Backlund was a champ for a long time, and he was their white meat babyface for a long time. But going forward into what we now know as like the expansion period, what Vince wanted to do, change that territory system and basically take over the whole business. He needed Hulk. He needed Hogan. He needed that character. He needed that sort of extra bit of pizzazz. Backlund was a great worker. Like, he was an old school worker. Like, I mean, he would have a wrestling match, but he's not going to be, you know what I mean, on Saturday Night Live or whatever, or fucking, I mean, Jay Leno or whatever it was at the time. I can't remember, but that kind of thing. He's not going to be on there talking about stuff and being larger than life Vince knew he needed Hogan to be able to get to that next level. So they got shaky. He was a good heel at the time. I got the title off Backlund, and then Madison Square Garden, man, like a New Year show, 1984, like on the run into like the expansion period, getting Hulk to get that title. Like what a master stroke that is, really. Some genius promoting and really good business sense as well. It's crazy. But yeah, big pop as well.
I was
Huge pop.
literally just about to say that. It was a huge pop. And I think what's really interesting is like pretty much everything on my list, there's a pop associated with it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
he I know they talk about the Road Warriors pop and stuff, but Hogan had a pop of his own as well, though, right? It's like, and again, we will talk about stuff like that. But yeah, I think it was always going to be my number 10. It was the place where it all began, and I just think it's really important that particular 1984 Madison Square Garden, like you say, the Garden is the mecca, right, for this industry. So I think it's really quite appropriate that's where he won his first title.
I think when we sort of look at the way like Hogan's career had gone up into that point, because he'd been there, didn't he? And then he'd left, like went to Japan, like doing stuff in the AWA. Like he sort of had a little bit of a bite of the cherry. And I think it was sort of too soon for him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way Vince is going to pass up on 6'7" or whatever he was, 6'6", best part of 280, looking the way that he did. He's not going to pass up on that. And yeah, he's in the right place at the right time, but he made it for himself, right? It's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Brother.
Okay, so that's both of our number 10. We're going to be in sync soon. Your number 9, Hawksage. Your number 9.
My number 9 is Hogan returning in the red and yellow. When Triple H is doing his promo, it was just before Backlash 2002, after the Mania where the business changed again. Just that voodoo child hitting and Hogan coming out in the red and yellow, all the lights and the reaction, and even Triple H is smiling, like he's smirking in the ring, like you can tell he's marking the fuck out, and he's trying to just like pass it off as being like, oh yeah, I'm a bit of a heel and this, that, and the other. If you haven't watched that segment before, like if we're talking to sort of like younger audiences, if you know what I mean, people, there will be people who are listening to this who's maybe never seen that. We'll talk a little bit about the run up to that at some point later on. I've got no doubt in that. But that show, and when that music hits and the reaction, when people realise that he's back in the red and yellow, it's fucking amazing. And for people who've seen it but haven't seen it for a while, just go back and check it out. Just go and watch it. It's just so good. Like I said, Triple H's reaction. Like we've talked about Triple H's reactions a few times, but like he fucking makes it, man. And the camera, they get it as well. They make sure they get that reaction. It's so good. It's so good. And it's, I said 2002, so like 9 years or whatever. Like after he left, he hadn't been in the black and white for He hadn't been in the red and yellow for like 6 years or whatever, and he'd come back, and it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Loved it.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah. Okie dokie, that's your number 9. That's absolutely fair. Okay, my number 9. This might seem weird that it's on like a top 10 Hogan's greatest moments or just top 10 Hogan moments in wrestling, but I'm going to say WrestleMania 6, where he lost to the Ultimate Warrior.
Doing the job.
Really rare moment, and it's the sort of passing of a torch, right? So this was April 1st, 1990, Toronto Skydome, and it was main event, Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, and it was champion versus champion, Intercontinental Championship versus WWF Championship, and both were faces, right? They were both faces at the time. A really difficult, and again, you can vouch for that, right? It's a really difficult thing for baby faces to go against each other. and it split the audience. Obviously, there's probably a match on both our lists that we'll come back to in terms of splitting the audience, like never before. But this was the first one in Hogan's like probably career in the mainstream that we can talk about. Hogan was obviously the established wrestler of the 80s into the 90s. Warrior was just this absolute ball of energy of the 90s, and you know it wasn't even just a typical Ultimate Warrior squash match either. It was really quite an athletic match for like, the two we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, there was loads of like power moves. There was like loads of near falls, like really high tension match right throughout. And what again was really good was it was a clean finish as well. You know, Warrior pinned Hogan. It was the splash, and you know Hogan didn't roll out the ring like fucking hot as fuck. He gave Warrior the belt. He passed the torch. So that all this stuff about Hogan burying talent, didn't want to put people over. He put over Ultimate Warrior at the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania, right? And you know that was. I think it's really important to note that Hogan, although he gets a bad rep, I think when you're on top, that happens really, really easily. We could talk about loads of superstars that get a bad rep for that, right? But I think if you look into the sort of everything they do throughout their career, like this created a new top star in terms of Ultimate Warrior. And, you know, I think just really, really important in that. That's why it's on my list. That's a great thing to put forward for Hulk Hogan. He did put talent over when he felt it was appropriate because he was a star in his own right?
He was a businessman above all else. Like he got into wrestling. I think there's like an excerpt from a book from his autobiography. He just thought wrestling was go and have a good match, grab a six pack, and find a girl and move on to the next town, sort of thing. But he said when it clicked, it was business, and like this is at that period in time, the wrestling world and the wrestling business was very, very, very different than it was then. I know, and previously as well. But there was a real crossover of that old school mentality that he would have picked up and he would have learned back in the day for the guys who he was working with and guys he was training with, etc., etc. But he knew that to get the most amount of money on that card every night was to have Hogan on top, have Warrior on top. Sorry, he could go and do his tag team stuff with fucking like Brutus or whatever, you know what I mean, or whatever he needed to do. He was going to make some money, but he knew that people at that period in time, they are going to pay to see Warrior on top.
Yeah.
The more money that goes into that arena at that time, and the more money that goes into those house shows, means more money for the boys. It's very, very simple. So he knows, I've got to do the job here. It'll come round. I'm a big star. It'll come back to get me. But give him a go and see how he gets on as well, which is probably half of it, because it's like, okay, Vince, you want this fucking lad to go and be the champ for a bit? Let's see how long it is before you give me a call back and want it back on me. You know what I mean? So he's very, very shrewd. When you're at the top, to stay at the top, you've got to be a bit mean and a bit ruthless, shall we say, potentially. But it's business, man. It's business. We've talked before. It might have been recent. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not, or maybe on the stream. Mark out of 10 on Twitch. If you want to get involved for that, some watch-alongs and some chatting. But we've talked about a big boss man like Bubba. That period in time, I think he was something stupid like $10,000 a week he was earning by wrestling Hogan on the A show, like in the cage matches and stuff. Like back in the early 90s, $10,000 a week was huge money.
Yep.
Huge money. So that's the kind of thing he wants to make money for the boys, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing.
And he did, right? It's like everybody wanted to get a Hogan card.
Yeah.
So it's like
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's more to it than just bumps and chants. That's all it is. There's way more to it, and it's great.
Okay. Still my turn. My number 8. Now, notice I was very careful when we introduced here. It wasn't the top 10 greatest Hulk Hogan moments. It's the top 10 Hogan moments in wrestling. Now, there's I was wondering whether to put this on my list or not, right? Because it's actually a negative in terms of the wrestling industry. But when you think of Hulk Hogan, you talk about moments that you can talk about, and we talked about this, I think maybe like on our second or third podcast, like ever, and it was January 4th, 1999, Georgia Dome in Atlanta, and it's forever known as the Finger Poke of Doom. You know, it's this is it's something that rightly or wrongly is going to be it's always associated with Hulk Hogan, and this is when the main event was it was WCW champion at that time Kevin Nash. He ended Goldberg's undefeated streak, and it was these rival, should we call it, Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan was making his return because apparently like it was retired, wasn't it? That was the line, wasn't it? He was retired,
Yeah.
semi-retired, and he came back, and all the fans were thinking, "Oh, the NW is going to fight each other," blah blah blah. They got in the ring together. Bell rang. Hogan poked Nash in the chest, and Nash fell on the ground. Hogan pinned 1, 2, 3. And you know the NWO got reunited. The Wolfpack and the Hollywood factions came together. I mean, there's a whole host of different stuff that happened in the background as well. You know, it's like that'll put butts in seats. Line was on that same show, but you know, this was the beginning of the downfall of WCW, right? If Booker T had done that, no disrespect to Booker T, if Booker T had done that same thing, the Finger Poke of Doom, or you know, someone that was not the level of Hulk Hogan, would we have seen the same thing happen? Like a Jeff Jarrett, for example, did something very similar. It didn't have the same impact. You know, he laid down.
Well, he did, and it did have a bigger impact. Not Jeff. Let's talk. Maybe Booker T. Maybe Billy Kidman. Or somebody
Yeah,
like
okay,
that.
okay, yeah. You know what I mean? It's like this is the level we're talking here because it's like obviously Kevin Nash did the job and like lay down etc. But with Hulk, that's what made it worse for WCW because it was the magnitude of the superstar that did this. You know, it's creative control, brother. You know that's what happened, and
I want my belt back.
I want my belt back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, I think again, terrible for the business. You know, and this was potentially the beginning of the downfall of Hulk Hogan.
The jump the shark moment, potentially.
Indeed. Yeah. Again, probably should have been number 10, but I think it's a really important point to note in terms of the annals of wrestling. It'll always get brought up. Okay, if you speak to any real wrestling fan and you say the Finger Poke of Doom, they know what you're talking about. You know, and again, it's a moment in time that wrestling fans won't forget, and it's down to that man as well doing it. That's what it came down to.
Yeah,
that's probably the only negative on my list.
So I was going to have that as my honourable mention, okay. and I took it off because I was like, oh, I think I've got something else. When we talk about important periods or important moments in wrestling, he's all over him. He literally is all over for good or for bad, whatever. But he's there. He's in the mix, and that was a huge, huge turning point in that Monday Night War, that 83 weeks. Like they were trying stuff, and it just they see creative control. I want to do this. I want my belt back. It was a bad decision, but he was in charge basically. So that doesn't work for me, brother. It worked for them that night, right? Yeah, crazy.
Absolutely. So that's on my list. Over to you, Hoxie, number 8.
My number 8 is another. Isn't basically another return. So it's SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels is in the ring. You've got Muhammad Hassan and Daivari beating the living shit out of him. Gets the Arab scarf, hanging him over the ropes on the outside, and then bang. Dun, 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 dun. The babies are in the air, the limbs, the noise, the pop, the reaction, everything. Hogan comes out in his red is red and yellow, fucks the boa off, comes in, gets beat down, does the comeback, and drops the leg, big boot, the whole shtick, and then you get Shawn Michaels and Hogan posing. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Inject it into my fucking veins, man. It's phenomenal. It's so good. It's one of like, not like one of my favorite people, but like I always go back and watch that kind of clip when we talk about reactions and pops and stuff, and that is just sums everything up. The American hero, you know what I mean? Like Mr. America comes back, fucking does the work, saves the baby face, and then they have that moment. It's just, I love it so much. I love it so much. I really do. I can't really say much more about it. Just please, if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you haven't watched it for a while, go back and watch it. It is cinema. It's fucking great. I love it.
We might talk about it later on.
Yeah. It's brilliant, mate. Any excuse to talk about it again. So yes, please, let's get involved in that quality.
Okay,
I
number 7.
love it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah. Oh, the handshake, brother. Oh, the mega powers unite.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I can't imagine how much cocaine was sniffed on those car drives or backstage. But honestly, they're both at that period of time. Can you think of any bigger stars in wrestling ever, like Savage and Hogan? But at that time, like, was it 87 they united? I'm going to try and have a quick look. Sorry, I should have checked this. I should have made a note of this. I'm sure it was 87. Yeah, October 3rd, 1987. Yeah. Just, mate, like, just for the promos alone, it's worth it. Like, that was one of the biggest, like, I mean, everybody wanted it to happen. Obviously, Miss Elizabeth was in the mix as well. Just like, they're just two absolute tippy top guys in the industry coming together, sweating all over each other, cutting promos that made no sense. Like, they just, I mean, the blood pressure was probably 300 over 420, whatever it was. It was all going on. But, mate, what a time. What a time to be alive. Obviously, I wasn't alive. Well, I was alive then. I was 2 months old. But going back and watching it as a fan later on and getting involved in it is just fucking magic, man. Absolute magic. And I know there'll be people out there be like, oh, fucking hell, basic bitches, fucking talking about Hogan and Savage. Like, yeah, because it was fucking amazing and it was huge and it was massive. And judging on your reaction, we're probably going to talk about it at some point a little bit later on as well. But it's just, this is like, we haven't done this list to be like, oh, I'll put someone on there, we might have a bit of a conversation point, or this is my opinion or whatever. These are big moments because they are big moments, not necessarily personal opinion or justification, whatever. We enjoy this stuff. We fucking love this stuff. It's so good. It's so good. Just seeing them all jacked up, like, oh yeah, oh, brother, like, it just, it was personified 80s wrestling to me. Absolutely. That period of time. Yeah.
100%.
Brilliant.
I think, going back to the point you made there, you have people going, oh, you're going back in time, blah, blah. It's like, this is the stuff that lay the foundations of the wrestling we have today, right? Doesn't matter, like, if they do the 720 Vernon Schnavitz fucking triple indie somersault, right? It's all been laid by the foundations of what these guys did in the 80s and before that as well, you know, but prior to Hogan's and stuff. It's laid the foundation, it's made the pathway into what we watch today, right? And you're absolutely right. We will talk about it in a little bit. But the Mega Powers Uniting was a huge, huge moment. Like you say, two tippity top guys, and Miss Elizabeth as well, like the Valley of Valleys, right? But yeah, we'll talk about it in a wee second. But yes, that's
like that fucking image of like Mean Gene there with like the Saturday Night's Main Event background and just you know what I mean, like, oh, just absolutely jacked up, like ready for the handshake. It's fucking brilliant. I love it. It's so good.
It's
So
interesting.
good.
It's interesting you said Mean Gene because good old Mean Gene has a big part of my number 7 here. Now, I couldn't actually nail it down into one particular thing, but I'm just going to talk about the promo skills of Hulk Hogan. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. You know that line knew that you were about to go into this fucking tirade of nonsense, right? But at that time,
Brother.
at that time, it was exactly what you needed to do. It was like it was the birth of the catchphrase, right? Obviously, for WWF at that time, you know, it was like eat your vitamins, say your prayers, you know, train. It was all these things. What you going to do when Hulkamania runs well on you? It was everything. All these legendary catchphrases that started in the 80s, went into the 90s, into the 2000s, and up until the point where he unfortunately died. It's like if you say to someone, what you gonna do? It's like they'll do a Hulk Hogan impression after it, right? That's the sort of stuff that we talk about lives forever. And I
Mm-hmm.
think as a promo, I think he maybe gets slept on just a little bit because whenever we talk about the great promos, right? We talk about the Roddy Pipers, we talk about the Paul Heymans, we talk about the Jake Snakes. It's about drawing you in, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't help be drawn in by Hulk Hogan because he believed what he was saying, right? It was like he was the tippity top guy. He was speaking to the kids in order to keep propelling them forward. That's what it was about. And yes, he's just promo skills were in that time probably unmatched. There was no one could probably touch him until the likes of like Roddy Piper stepped up, until the likes of Jake the Snake came along. There's no. Then obviously Ultimate Warrior was a whole fucking other level of absolutely fucking crazy, right?
Absurdity.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's like I think it was really important because there are so many lines that he's came out with that are still to this day and age instantly recognizable, and I think it's a
Yeah.
massive, massive moment for him.
Well, we spoke about it last week a bit, didn't we? Really,
Yeah,
because he was on there. Like we talk about, you know, I mean, the catchphrase and stuff.
yeah,
Watch your back, Jack. Like, just all. It's just great. It's great, and you've got that period of time where you had, uh, oh my god, the biggest brain fart ever. But the fucking man for the South. What is his
Jimmy Hart.
name? Jimmy Hart. Of course, it's Jimmy Hart. Wow. There's just periods of time when he had him with like all of his airbrush stuff running around in the background, screaming down a fucking like a megaphone. It was all going on. It was brilliant. Um, we'll touch about the promo thing a little bit later on as well, um,
Excellent.
because I think what you've just said there, we talked about like being slept on and that sort of
Hmm.
stuff. There's a real. It goes into like one of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
ones
I
later on,
think I
if
know where
that
you're
makes
going.
sense. So,
Yeah, I think where
but
you're going.
um, but yeah, it's just, yeah, it's class. It's class, and
Absolute
you
class.
knew when he's on that screen shouting into that camera, pointing and sweating, and his fucking, I mean, he's all jacked up. It's just he's got the red and yellow kicking out. It's great. It's so good. It's proper sizzle.
RASSLI, and that's wrestling.
Wrestling. It's just sizzle. It's class. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The good kind of sizzle as well. The really good kind.
The thing is, he had the stake to back it up, though.
Yeah, but yeah. He had enough steak anyway. He definitely
Yeah.
had enough steak. 100%. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, my number 6 then, going into that, it's the one you just had before, is the Mega Powers uniting. I think you sort of touched upon it. It's just, it was the moment for the time, the two the biggest stars there, the fact that they came together. It's been, they've tried to replicate it so many times. They did it with Austin and Triple H, and it
yeah.
just didn't have the same thing because Austin was, there'll always be that discussion, who's bigger, Austin or Hulk Hogan? Um, I think Austin and Triple H were great in their time, but I think the Mega Powers are just a fucking an upper echelon, right? They're in a level all by themselves. And as I say, the added bonus was Miss Elizabeth. I think as a Valley, she's one of the best to ever do it. You know, it was an absolute sin. And yeah, so yeah, my number 6, you've already talked about. Mega Powers uniting is a big, massive moment in the top 10 of Hulk Hogan.
I need to go back and watch. We watch a lot of 90s stuff, don't we? And sort of early 2000 stuff. I think maybe need to go back and watch some 80s stuff just to have a bit of nostalgia and just to get all involved. It'd be great. Yeah.
Twitch.tv/mark out of 10. We are doing
Yeah,
that.
boy.
We're almost at affiliate, which is great. Come
Yes.
along and follow the channel. But we're trying to watch a lot of the live stuff. Oh, I say live the day after. But we are taking recommendations of what we want to watch as well. But yeah, I think 80s stuff would be really cool.
We had so much fun last week, didn't we, with that
So good.
NXT
Wow.
and Dynamite? It was probably the best night of my life.
Yeah. Okay, moving
Moving
on before I
on.
burst into tears for a totally different reason. You're number 6, Hoxie.
You touched on it a little bit earlier on. It's quite match heavy, my list is, to be fair. But it's that Georgia Dome show, Goldberg and Hogan. We watched it the other week, didn't we?
We did.
There's always like people and wrestling people will always put an asterisk next to that as if to say, like, why was this not on a pay-per-view? Why didn't they sell 60,000 tickets to this, which they could have quite easily done, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't the game plan at the time. The game plan was to get a big TV rating. It was in Atlanta. All the TBS guys were there. All the executives were there. Let's show what we can do. And that was the match. And once again, we talk about doing business and seeing money and opportunity and stuff. Hogan, he did not drop the leg that night. He got dropped on his head and he done the job. And he probably got one of the best matches out of Bill Goldberg that he probably has ever had in his life. He knew what he was doing, and it was very, very good. Really, really good. It's not a catch as can classic. It's not a fucking Shawn Michaels and it's not a Bret Hart or a Kurt Angle or a Kenny Omega or whatever you want to. Whatever. It's not that, but it done exactly what it needed to do, and it was really good. And the reaction at the end of, it was like 40,000 people in there, I think it was, wasn't it? Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, we checked them.
Yeah, just talking about bananas, they went bananas, and what a night! What a night! It's great, really, really good show. Enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. So it had to get on the list, and it's probably the one of the most talked about matches, not like for good reasons, if you know what I mean. That he had in WCW, especially in that late period. They were printing money and they capitalized on it big time. Yeah, good shit. Hogan Goldberg, the Georgia Dome show. WCW.
Good shit, Hoxie boy. Now, we usually take a break in the list, but we're not doing any other news or anything, so we're just going to keep on rattling through. What we'll do is we'll do a quick plug of the socials. If you want to contact us, as I said before, wrestlemark10@gmail.com. You can email us. Check us out at our website, moo10.com, moo10.com. You can leave comments, you can feedback to us, you can leave voicemails, etc. That would be greatly appreciated. You can tweet us out at mark_out of 10. We're on YouTube, mark out of 10, mark out of 10 podcast on Instagram, all the good stuff. We want to hear your top Hulk Hogan moments yourself, or just comment something about the wrestling industry if you want us to talk about it next week. Okay, plugs done. Let's get back to the list, Hoxie. You're number 5 then.
My number 5 is Hogan vs. Warrior. Roll Tide, guys. It's Hogan Warrior. Obviously, we spoke about it a bit earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Huge, absolutely huge moment in the wrestling industry, in the history of the WWF. People will say it didn't turn out the way that it should have turned out and blah, 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 but at that moment in time, it had to be done. And we once again, we sleep a little bit on Hogan as a worker because he doesn't do triple indie Burnham Schneebitz and 450 fucking so he doesn't do all that stuff. But what he does, he knows how to have a really good match, and he knows usually when he's on it, he can get the best match out of that person that makes the sense then at that moment in time. Calling it in the ring is not done anymore. 100% not done anymore. They'll call some stuff, but all the big high spots and the sort of the the drills and all the fucking shit they work through. It's definitely not called of the ring, but they used to do that back in the day. What's the finish? Okay, you got a couple of moves? Okay. And they would just call it in the ring. And he was so good at it. And he got the best match he possibly could for that moment in time against Warrior, who quite possibly one of the worst wrestlers ever, especially one of the worst wrestlers to get into a position that he got into. But yeah, it was fucking phenomenal. And it was a huge deal. He's done it with Goldberg. You know what I mean? He's done it with Warrior. Those big times where he's had to put somebody over for the greater good. He's done it, and it's great. Once again, go on.
Sorry to interrupt. I was
No,
going to
no.
say, do you think the ability to get the best matches out of someone is due to his ability of connecting with the crowd? Do you think that's got a big part to play in it?
I think so. What you want to do is you want to work the crowds. That's the term, like worker. It's not working with somebody, although you are. It is working the crowd, and he's a master of doing that. He's a master of taking those people on that journey. He knows when to give. He knows when to take. He knows when to hit his comeback. He knows when to hit that fucking. I mean the hulking up. And people are there for it. But if he went there and done it in the first 2 minutes, it wouldn't get the reaction. He needs to take those people on that journey, and he does that with people. You watch any of his matches and they say, "Oh, he'll do the same thing or do that." He doesn't. He really doesn't. I'm not calling him a Bret Hart. Like, I'm not calling him like this artist on this canvas or whatever. But he did exactly what he needed to do when he needed to do it, and he knew what he needed to do. It's masterful, genuinely. Like just from I'm not. Once again, I'm going to preface this like I always do. I'm not putting myself in any category of any of these guys I'm talking about. But as a wrestler, when you watch what he does, it's brilliant because he does not the bare minimum. He doesn't do lots of stuff, but he gets more reaction than most of the people who would do everything. And that's one of the things that's sort of lost in wrestling nowadays. Not to sort of go down a rabbit hole on why the business is fucked or whatever, but like he didn't have to do hardly anything, and he got some of the greatest reactions ever, and he was on top forever. I've watched some of his stuff. He's done a couple of matches when he was in the WWE. He wrestled. It was a Great Muta. There's a match in Great Muta. Mm-hmm. He's actually doing wrestling, like grappling, like proper wrestling, and it's on YouTube. You can go and watch it. It's one of the Tokyo Dome shows, and he can go if he wanted to. He just didn't need to. They were bumping on these 80s rings that were literally like concrete, so no one's going to want to take a bump on it. That's why all those high-flying lads from back then, like your Dynamite Kids and all these lads, were just absolutely fucked because they were taking mad bumps on the floor. Basically is what they were doing every night. So he knew, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get the sizzle over, little bit of steak, and everybody's paying to see me do it. It's phenomenal. He's really, really an unsung guy when it comes to actually wrestling, professional wrestling. He deserves, and I hate saying this, but he deserves some flowers for it. I think he really does. But like, he gets slept on because of all of the other stuff that he was really good at. You sort of you look past that kind of thing. I really want to go and watch a fucking Hogan match now. I just want to go watch some wrestling. It's just really good, yeah. And it sums up how good he was with Warrior, because Warrior was. I cannot stress this enough to anybody who might think you're talking at your arse, Dan. Like, he was amazing because he made a load of money. He was a champ. He was absolutely shockingly bad in the ring. So for Hogan to get that out of him says all it needed to say. Yeah. Sorry if I digressed a bit then. Sorry.
No. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's not an issue at all. But yeah, it's on both our lists, right? We must be right. What can I say? Okay, my number 5 then is again a moment. It's a pop. It's a collective moment from WrestleMania 30, the opening of WrestleMania 30. Hogan comes out. He calls the stadium the Silver Dome. And then, Stone Cold Steve Austin come out, The Rock comes out, the three of them share the ring, and there's no tension, there's nothing. It's just three of the greatest to ever do it, sharing and
A
hyping up the
moment.
crowd. It's that
Yeah.
moment in time, right?
Yeah.
You're talking WrestleMania 30, the biggest event in the wrestling calendar, and those are your three guys that you send out in order to get them fucking hyped up. It's going to be a decent show, right? It's
Yes.
like the fact that they all do their catchphrases, they take the piss out of each other, but again, there's no animosity with it. It was like a passing of the torch / Hall of Fame type moment. That's the only way you can sort of describe it. And it is that sort of once in a life. They talk about that all the time, right? It's a once in a lifetime moment, and it is. It's one of those once in a lifetimes, and it was just so special to see the different generations and the fact that there was genuine respect from like The Rock and Austin to Hogan, because as I said before, it's about laying the foundations, right? And Hogan laid the foundations where Austin and Rock could take the ball and just run with it. So yeah, for me it was a really special. Potentially not just Hogan; it was the fact that it was all three of them combined, but
Yeah.
Hogan played his part there. So yeah,
I think that's wrestling.
yeah,
That what happened there. Um, Wrestling. I mean, to me, and probably to lots of other people, like it's not just what happens in between the ropes. Like it's not between the bell and that sort of stuff. It's everything. It's the circus, isn't it? It's the pageantry. It's just everything. That's what we buy into. It's those emotional moments that just grab you. Like it
yeah,
could be happy, it could be sad, it could be anger, it could be whatever, like excitement, whatever, like that. To get those guys at that period in time and that moment, it's the cheesy thing because it's become like a bit of a WWE term, but it is that moment, isn't it? That moment in time where it doesn't matter what is happening in the world, it doesn't maybe matter what's happening in your life. Like at that given moment in time, you could be going through whatever. You can be lost in that moment, and that's special, and that's what makes wrestling special.
yeah,
Like I said, take away the 1, 2, 3s and who's got the most championships and who's made the most money, whatever. That moment is just perfect, absolutely perfect. I didn't put it on the list because I was just focusing solely on Hogan shit, if you know what I mean, to
yeah,
a
yeah,
certain degree. But like it was on the wider list for me, and
yeah, yeah. Of course,
yeah, it's a great moment. Yeah, I'm happy because we've had a chance to speak about it, even though it's not on my list. So I'll take that. Good shit.
perfect.
Good shit.
Okay, number 4 is one that you talked about as well. It's the save of Shawn Michaels, the
Yeah,
Muhammad Hassan, and
yeah,
when I got the one when obviously I heard that Hulk Hogan passed away, it was the first one I loaded up because I
yeah,
remember it. I remember watching it, and it gives you goosebumps, man. Like, and
yeah,
I text you straight away, right? I was like, "You want to talk about pops?" Like 1 minute 20, I think it was, and
yeah,
the place just blew up. And do you want to know what actually made it as well? Jerry the King Lawler. See his reaction because it seems just so genuine, which was amazing.
yeah,
But that entire that entire story of like him coming back to help Shawn Michaels, it was just a thing in beauty. Like Shawn Michaels, like getting attacked by Muhammad Hassan and Davari, and then Shawn Michaels wanted a handicap match. Eric Bischoff said no, he had to find a partner, and then Shawn Michaels is on the ramp looking directly at the camera, and he's like, one more match, and then it was the Next Again episode. It was the 18th of April. That's the date, and honestly, the fucking pop is like nothing you'll ever experience again. It's goosebumps just even thinking about it,
yeah,
man. It's crazy, and
yeah,
yeah, it's just again, it's one of those moments that's cross generational, right? It was like Hogan and Shawn Michaels, two tippity top guys coming together to be like the American heroes, and and it led to like the SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam with Shawn and Hogan eventually as well. That
yeah.
rightly or wrongly, it's a talked about match as well with Mr. Michaels, but
Yeah,
yeah, just purely for the pop. And this is all about my list, probably from now, is about pops and how it makes you feel and just impact and stuff. So yeah, that's why it's on my list. Probably a bit higher than it should be, but for me, it was always going to be on my list.
Yeah. I think mine would probably be two more spaces higher, I think, if I was to redo my list again, if you know what I mean. But I just literally wrote it out as I put it in my phone when I was just making the notes. I was like, bang, bang, bang. Oh, yeah, bang. So, like, whatever. We'll talk about it. It's not necessarily a 1 to 10, mate. It's just...
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, there you go. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's like this.
Yeah.
It's ordered just for the podcast. I mean, you could pick these, and the way I was thinking about this list is if we were in like a pub talking about it, like, oh, what about this moment? Oh, what about that moment? It's like not necessarily in order. So
yes,
yeah.
Going back to the Parisian hotel, mate. Basically.
Indeed.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Indeed.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Okay, Hoxie, you're number 4.
Backlash 2002. Him getting the belt back after nearly 10 years or however long it was. The whole trajectory to that moment in time is amazing. It was basically, I watched the WrestleMania back then, and then I didn't watch the other show. I didn't watch any. That was pretty much, I think that was the start of my like hiatus from wrestling when I think back at it. So like I missed it properly first time round. So this is just purely going back and watching it, and the whole story and the trajectory and the change that they had to make. We talk about Hogan doing business for somebody. Let's give some big props to Triple H here, by the way, for doing that business. I've lost count how many times I've gone back and watched this match.
Yeah,
it's got to be one of my most watched matches that I go to all the time. Just phenomenal. They were so there for it as well. Everybody was ready for it, and they make all the like the comparisons. Oh, it's like Babe Ruth coming back to fucking win the World Series, and whatever it is they talk about. Like it's once again, that's wrestling. It's story, it's emotion, it's fucking everything piled into one match, and Triple H doing that job and him lifting that belt after so long, it's just phenomenal. He's got to be late 40s, I think, when he won that back. Just special
it felt
shit.
right. It felt right.
It's not like, oh, is fucking Batista coming back and like nobody gives a shit. Why is he winning the belt? Nobody wants it. Like everybody wanted Hogan to win. Everybody. It just, you know what I mean? It was the fucking the cowboy coming back off. You know what I mean, from the desert. Just like everybody wanted him to win. It's phenomenal. Look, once again, if you haven't seen this match, go back and watch this show. If you have and you haven't watched it for a while, go back and watch it because it is better than you remember it being as well. It's fucking great.
Like a fine wine.
Literally, I love this match so much. I love it. So get involved. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, Hoxie, you're number 3.
The precursor to this, Hogan and Rock. Icon versus icon. One of my favourite matches of all time.
It's my number 3 as well, by the way.
Let's just chat about it then. We talk about... Let's talk about the wrestling side of it for a second. He came out, everybody, everyone behind the scenes expected him to be the heel. He came out and he got the biggest reaction. Quite possibly one of the biggest reactions of all time.
Yeah.
That moment when they're stood face to face and, the turn one way, the look back, the turn the other way, and it's just, if you could capture that, I'm literally getting goosebumps. I'm nearly getting upset about it. If you can capture that energy in a bottle and sell that, you would be the richest person to ever grace the face of this earth, because it is special. The match was great. The turn, the working together once again. I said earlier on about calling it in the ring. If that was now and they planned, if that was like a Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega match, they wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't know what to do. They would absolutely shit a brick, and they would lose everybody within the first 2 minutes because they would just go into their spots. Like, they were in there. They knew the assignment. They knew what they had to do. The Rock, once again, at that period in time, doesn't get his flowers for how good of a worker he was. And the pair of them, they knew straight away, instinctively, they knew what they had to do, and they done it. And the rest is history, right? But I've listened to interviews and podcasts and stories about this match, and the amount of times that I've heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, but if you turn the sound off, the match is shit." What the fuck is all that about? We don't watch it with the sound turned off. We watch it because that's how it's presented. Like, what a stupid thing to say. Like, oh, this football match is shit if you turn the television off and you don't watch it. Fuck off. What a load of shit. Just get in the bin. Like, it was special. Loved it. Love.
It was two masters of their craft at that particular moment in time, right?
Yep.
And like you say, it's just. Now, I'm going to preface this as well. Like, my 3, 2, and 1 are totally interchangeable. Like, it's literally joint first for my top 3.
1, A, B, and C. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because they all have unique places, like, within the wrestling business. Not just how I feel, but within the wrestling business. This match will stand the test of time against absolutely anybody. From obviously those two, Icon versus Icon, the story behind it, the lead up to it with the promos, etc., with the tension with an NWO, with the crowd flipping between Hogan's a heel and Hogan's a babyface, Rock's the babyface, Rock's the heel, to JR and the King just commentating through it. Everything was absolutely perfect for this match.
Yeah. 10-10.
The amount of false finishes were perfect. You know, it was the line when Hogan dropped the leg, he bit Andre with this move. The crowd went fucking mental, and then it was the kick. It was
still the period of time where people were actually taking pictures.
Yeah.
So when he hits the fucking leg drop, like all the flashes in this, it's just like, what a moment in time, man!
Just absolutely fucking phenomenal.
Perfect.
Right. Next thing on Twitch we're doing is a WrestleMania 18 watch along. It's got to happen.
Yes,
right?
Please.
We'll do that.
Yeah. I'll sign up for that.
But yeah, I can't say any more than you said. It was just two absolute masters of their craft, like I said. Had to be on the list somewhere. Just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, my number 3.
Icon versus Icon, mate. Yes, please.
More of the same. Okay, my number 2 was... I've got a feeling this is probably yours as well. Bash at the Beach 1996. I think I know what your number 1 is as well then. But yeah, the formation of NWO, the turn, right? It's
but whose side is he on?
Yeah, let's ignore it. If you turn the volume off, it doesn't matter.
They've actually edited it out, you know.
Yeah, I've saw a clip
which is mental, to be fair. But there we go. I'm being facetious. I'm joking, but yeah, mate, come on.
The turn that no one ever thought would happen. Right, he is the quintessential babyface. I think JR came out recently and said he is the greatest babyface of all time. And, you know, there's always obviously an argument. I'm not going to argue with good old JR, like the best to ever do it, but no one expected that heel turn. The change in Hogan to become the bad guy was just, it just didn't cross anybody's mind, right? So you didn't see it coming.
Bobby Heenan's.
Well, yeah, but it then came to this point. That's what I'm saying. This was the start of the second coming of wrestling that again Hogan was involved in. Right, the Monday Night Wars. Yep. This was the catalyst for it.
Yep,
and
100%.
Go for it.
He was sort of Genesis twice, wasn't he? Really, And people might be like, "What are you talking about, Orksy? You fucking touch." He was like, I know there was wrestling before the 80s. I get that, but when we talk about how big wrestling is now, it's not in smoky halls with like, 300 people watching it, like in different territories all the way around the country, like in a country, to have international, um, just global stardom and zeitgeist. You know what I mean, in wrestling culture, you can show a picture of Hulk Hogan to most people around the world today, and they will know who he is.
Yeah.
I was in the sports bar in Tamworth on Saturday, and I took a picture. And there's two people that is on the wall. One of them is The Rock, and the other guy, if it wants to zoom, it's not going to do it, you motherfucker. The other guy is Hulk Hogan, and the
There you
picture's
go.
from the 80s. You know what I mean? And that's in a sports bar. Like they could have picked anybody to put on the wall. It's recognition, isn't it? And for him to do it twice is fucking crazy. And they say that oh well, WCW. There's no way WCW would have done what they would have done if it wasn't for Hogan turning heel. If it wasn't for that NWO, everything that it was good. WCW was good, but he had to do it to save his career, and
Hmm.
B to save WCW, because it would have went tits up a hell of a lot sooner than it did if it
Yeah.
wasn't for that moment. Nobody can argue that fact. But yeah, fucking what a turn, doing it on Randy as well. Once again,
Mm.
huge baby face, a massive storyline, Sting, Savage, the outsiders coming in. He's the American hero. He's the people's hero. Like, oh, he's coming to help. Nah, leg drop. Just such a great moment. All the fucking shit getting thrown in the ring, the drinks, the
Yeah.
fucking rubbish. The like, there's a new world order of professional wrestling, brother. Like, brilliant. Good promo as well. Really good promo. Yep,
Hmm.
just class.
100%.
A moment in time, Shields. A moment in time, mate.
A moment in time, indeed. Perfect. Okay, so what we usually do before we go into our number ones, I think I know what our number one's is going to be. We talk about our honourable mentions. So this is something that they could have got on the list, but we decided it wasn't enough to like sort of push something else out. Hoxie, your honourable mention this week?
Um, it's sort of rock and wrestling /
Yeah.
WrestleMania 1,
Yeah, okay.
basically. Um, I said to you, like you touched earlier on about his promos and stuff. Vince McMahon bet the house on, quite literally, I think as well.
Yeah.
Bet the house on WrestleMania 1 and making sure that that was going to work. And he was very shrewd and very, very ruthless to try and get that to work. There's lots of bits behind it. It's not necessarily just one thing, but he bet the house on WrestleMania 1. If it didn't work out and it wasn't as big as it was, we wouldn't have had the WWF. It would have went bankrupt. It would have went tits
Yeah.
up. No one can deny that. So he turned to Roddy the Piper and Hulk Hogan, two guys who can talk everybody into that building in two very, very different ways. Um, he hosted Saturday Night Live with Mr. T, and he was on MTV. That was the crossover that they need. That was the catalyst for why that was successful, because it was 100% into the mainstream. He went straight into that world. If they didn't get that mainstream audience, it would not have happened. I'm going to make a bit of a comparison now. Let me finish my comparison before you
Okay.
think, what the fuck are you talking about? It is the difference now between AEW and what WWE is. WWE have got they're already in the zeitgeist. They're in culture. They are in the mainstream. AEW will always have 500,000 fans
Yeah.
who will watch that show, and they'll always have 5 to 10, 50. I mean, 10,000 people who will show up to a venue because that is the wrestling audience. WWE don't have a wrestling audience; they have a WWE audience, and that is the difference. That's what Hogan and Vince and Piper did in 1984, 85. They turned away from a wrestling audience and went to a WWF audience, a mainstream audience, and that's what they did, in my opinion.
That's a really good analogy. Yeah, that's good.
So there you go. Just to modernize it a little bit, maybe, just so people can maybe understand the sort of the size of it. But they changed professional wrestling forever from that moment in time.
Couldn't put it better myself, Hoxie. Couldn't put it better myself, my man.
I'm very proud of that one. Very proud
That
of
was
that
very
one,
good.
to be fair.
Very, very good. My honourable mention is not as eloquent as Hoxie's. It's one that's already been mentioned. And this is possibly one of my favourite moments that I always talk about whenever we talk about Triple H or Hogan or Pops. It's when the red and yellow returns on that SmackDown in 2002. The crowd go absolutely mental when that music hits. Like you see Triple H is smiling.
Yeah, the
And
smile's fucking great, isn't it? It proper
it's like a
adds to
little
it.
smirk.
It's
It's so
perfect.
good. And the bit there's like there's three sections. It's like there's Taz, Cole, and then Taz. Taz saying when the music hits, he has it on Cole, he has it on the red and yellow, and then Cole comes away with a line that's one of the best things he's ever said. The true colours of the Hulkster, the bright red, the bright yellow, Hulk Hogan is back. And then Taz says that's so cool to see the Hulkster in the red and yellow. And that just sums up what an entire generation was saying, what they were thinking. You know, it's so cool to see the hero of your 80s and 90s come full circle from his bad NWO days to the red and yellow that made him famous at the start, and it gives me goosebumps. It makes me quite teary thinking about it now. It's one of those ones that are constantly saved on like my YouTube playlist, and I'll watch it over and over again. It's that lightning in the bottle we talk about all the time, and it's just everything about that little segment was absolutely perfect. So yeah, that's my honourable mention.
When you can get the boys to mark out, especially Taz and Michael Cole, you're doing all right. And Triple H, to be fair, you're doing all
Absolutely.
right. Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just go through our top 10 list up to honourable mention before we reveal a number one. I've got a funny feeling I think our number one's exactly the same, Hoxie. My number 10 was I'm winning the WWF Championship from the Iron Sheik in 1984. Number 9 was losing to the Ultimate Warrior clean at WrestleMania 6. Number 8 was the Finger Poke of Doom. His 7 was his just general promo skills. What you going to do? Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Number 6 was Mega Powers Uniting. Number 5 was WrestleMania 30 opening with Stone Cold and The Rock. Number 4 was Saving Shawn Michaels, the Muhammad Hassan segment on Raw. I think it was before Backlash. Number 3 was Icon versus The Rock. Number 2 was essentially the formation of the NWO, the turning of heel. And my honourable mention is the red and yellow Hogan return on SmackDown 2002. Hoxie?
Cool. My number 10, Hulk versus Sheik. Number 9, Hogan returns in the red and yellow. Number 8, Hogan returns to save Shawn Michaels. Number 7, Mega Powers Unite. Number 6, Hogan versus Goldberg. Number 5, Hogan versus Warrior. The first one, not the WCW one. That was number 6, sorry. Number 5, oh yeah, Hogan Warrior. Number 4, Backlash versus Triple H to become the champ again. Number 3, Hogan versus The Rock, Mania 18. Number 2, The Turn, Bash at the Beach. And my honourable mention, Rock and Wrestling, WrestleMania 1, basically.
Okay, Hoxie. Your number one of top 10 Hulk Hogan moments in wrestling is...
Thunder in Paradise. No, it's Hogan versus Andre. Of
the
course
body
it
slam.
is.
Yeah,
Of
WrestleMania
course
3.
it is. The
Had to be.
slam heard around the world. The immovable force, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object, right?
Gorilla Monsoon.
WrestleMania 3, 1987. We've spoke about this on the podcast before a couple of times for different lists, I think. This is this is his biggest moment?
Yeah.
Do you reckon he would say this is his biggest moment as well? I would imagine
I
if he
think he
could.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't get much bigger than this anyway. To be
Excuse the
fair,
pun.
well, yeah, exactly, but figuratively and whatever. But it's I just we talk about like capturing lightning in a bottle and just having these like special moments and stuff. Um, I don't even think they realised then how big of a deal this was going to be. It was a big thing back then. It was huge. Like the way they built that match was from a promotional perspective pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Mean, I don't think they could have done anything better than that at that period of time. Heenan just being the guy to do Andre's sort of, talking for him, and
Yeah.
just Andre standing there looking like a fucking 10 foot tall like monster.
Mm.
Just mate. And once
Uh,
again, the match was dog or like you could say what you want to say about it.
yeah.
It did what it needed to do. All it was doing was building to that point. They'd wrestled each other before back in the early '80s, like back in the day when Hogan started out. Like they'd had matches back in early '80s, probably late '70s, early '80s, but like that magnitude for that level of what it needed to be, that was the shit, right? It was the fucking
Yeah.
shit. It was so
I mean,
good.
it goes back to the storytelling point as well, because you said that it's like they'd wrestled each other beforehand, and the big story of the match was Andre the Giant's never been slammed before. He's never been taken off his feet, which is like Hogan's done it before. It's like it's fine. But
Jerry Lawler suplexed him. You know what I mean?
well, there you go. But it's like that's the genius of the storytelling of it,
Yeah,
and again, everything was perfect. That particular phrase from Gorilla Monsoon still used in WWE programming now, right? It's like
yeah.
in any intro, it's there. It stands the test of time. That image of Hulk Hogan lifting Andre to slam him, to drop the leg, to retain the title. It's forever etched in history of the wrestling business, and deservedly so. Two of the greatest marquee events in wrestling, you know. And again, I think WrestleMania 3 was the one that had to be the success, right? So obviously, he bet the house in WrestleMania 1 and 2. WrestleMania 3 was the one that, if it didn't go as well,
It was going to be the
yeah,
next level.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think Hulk Hogan has said, I think he has said on several occasions, this is the moment. This is why he speaks so highly of Andre, because this is the moment that made him. He won the title, obviously from the Iron Sheik, etc. But this was his moment. Yeah, and I think it had to be on number one for my list. This was the first thing I put on my list.
Yeah, same, exactly the same. It's not even like it's not like it's not close. It's just like Hogan and Andre.
Yeah,
I,
it
I
has to
think
be.
a generation of wrestling fans. There's probably a generation of wrestlers as well who
Yep.
probably had that moment. It's like I want to go and do that. I just remember like looking back, like the poster. It's just them pair like face to face with like the black. Like there's no
Yep.
other talent on there. It's a black background. WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre just staring at each other. There's no other. That was the whole card. I know we talk about obviously Steamboat and Savage was on that from like a wrestling perspective, whatever. But the card was all against Hogan and Andre, and they done what 70,000, 80,000 people in the stadium. Huge pay per view buys,
Yeah.
like international. Whatever. Like they used to do the closed circuit stuff back in the day. Like just absolutely massive numbers for this show, and it was just because of that one match. And when he went up for that body slam and come back down and drop the leg, yeah, sign me up, mate. Sign me up. Perfect.
Absolutely. Perfect moment. Well, that's the top 10 list of Hulk Hogan moments, Hoxie. Thoughts before we finish?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's nice just to chat about some good shit, right? Some
Yeah,
nice shit, some positive shit.
absolutely.
We're definitely going to watch some stuff after this, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Oh dear.
Okay, and that's where we'll leave it tonight on this special tribute episode of Mark Out of 10. We've relived the matches, the moments, the memories, from the slam heard around the world to the black and white shockwaves of the NWO. But more than anything, we've celebrated a force of nature. Because Hulk Hogan wasn't just a superstar, he was a symbol of height, of hope, of heart. He stood tall when the odds were stacked, he fired up when the chips were down, and when that finger pointed and the crowd rose to their feet, you knew it was about to go down. Hulkamania wasn't a gimmick, it was a movement, it was a feeling. And long after the final bell rings, that feeling still lives on. Because legends may fade, but some things, some feelings, never die. The music, the energy, the crowd chanting his name, it's all still there. Every time someone hulks up, every time someone believes in the impossible, Hulkamania isn't over. It's eternal. So one final time we ask, what you gonna do when Hulkamania keeps running wild forever?